Hi, gang, and here we are, end of the week. Finally got everything together so we can get this done. Um, I wanted to do a video on this old trick that I saw on a video that I actually watched it probably 5 or 6 times. I just couldn't believe what they were doing because, like all of you, I've watched a lot of videos and I've been doing things the way I've been taught to do. But I want to encourage you to go watch a video called Hands. The beginning photo, the little thumbnail tag picture by the name of Hands is a little old white-haired lady with her hair in curls. She's cute as a button. But it's called Hands. It's probably misleading because you probably don't think it has anything to do with spinning, but it does. The whole entire video is about sheep and spinning. The front portion of the video is about the buying and selling of sheep, mainly Suffolk in this part of the country. And the film is actually dated 1978, but the information in it is absolutely life-saving for me because I like to spin. And a lot of times some of the wool that I get is really flyaway, and it's kind of coarse when I get done with it, and I end up having to go back and wash it again and add some kind of softening agent, whether it's fabric softener or shampoo, conditioner, that kind of thing. But in this video, the front half of it is about the buying and selling of sheep, which is kind of cool. It's funny to watch because when they're in the main line of the street where they're going to be selling sheep, there is a gentleman there with the trunk of his car is propped up and there's sheep in the trunk of his car. I can't, you just have to do whatever you got to do. But once you get past the buying and selling, they show you the shearing of sheep, which in 1978 they were still shearing with the old metal shears. They were not using electric shears, and honestly, I kind of prefer the older method because the electric shears have a tendency to nick and cut skin of the sheep, and then they walk away. Yeah, they're hairless, but they're also bloody. But they show how they did it, which that was educational as well because there's a lot of us out here. I would have sheep, but my neighbors would pitch a royal fit if I had sheep in my backyard. So seeing it done was interesting for me. But once you get past that part, they take you to two different women, and these women are in different districts of this country, and both of them older, so they have been doing this for a long time. They are doing it out of necessity, not out of pleasure. But both these women, one has a spindle wheel. No, I'm sorry, I apologize. One has a flyer wheel. The other one has a great wheel. And if you've never seen a great wheel in action or how it's used, it's absolutely beautiful to watch this lady begin her spinning on a great wheel and how she did it. Absolutely fabulous. If I had room in my craft room, I would have a great wheel, but unfortunately I'd have to build on and we can't do that. So I'm stuck with a spindle and a flyer, which I do have a video on that flyer. I actually have a video on both wheels. So what I want to talk about is in the process, they wash their wool, and once they got done washing, they would stretch it out on rocks or whatever it is they were going to dry it on. When they were done, and they went to card this wool. Now, here's what's going to blow your mind. They actually added the oil back in. So one lady used paraffin oil and another lady used vegetable oil. So naturally, I got kind of intrigued. What's the difference if you add the oil back in? Because all the washing videos on wool tells you to use Dawn or whatever your choice is to remove the lanolin from the wool. Lanolin is the grease, it's the oil that's in the fiber. Now, if your wool that you have washed is turning up flyaway, and once you turn it into a yarn, it tends to be coarse. Yeah, me. Mhm. You're going to want to try this. Now, here's what I did. This is an old maple syrup bottle, and it leaks right here. Now, who wants to leak maple syrup everywhere? and then it gets all sticky. And so we set this aside. I was like, this is perfect. Now this is good old canola oil from my kitchen. That's all this is. It's canola oil. And so I have some wool that is, this is lock, and you can see it's all flyaway. See, here's the little curly pieces. Most people like to put this in their yarn as is, and then you have all these little curlies in your yarn, which is fine if that's what you want to do. But it's all flyaway. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do what these two women did. They would take a handful of their wool after it was washed and dried in just water. I'm going to take advantage of my leak. So I'm going to drip this onto this wool. And then they worked it into the wool like this. So they put the wool back in it. And these two women in two different districts, they just used a different type of oil. They both did exactly the same thing. They put the oil back in. I've never seen that before. I've never heard of that before. I've been spinning for quite a few years. I've not heard of that method. It's always take it out, take it out, take it out. And here's a video from '78 that said, put it back in. And as they're going through this video, they'll show you knitting socks because, you know, they didn't have Walmart. You know, you had to make what you needed. And so they have found clothing from much earlier than that '78 video. And come to find out, the clothing is waterproof. Why? Because they put the oil back in. So they worked it like this, and then put this to your carders, which I found interesting because both of these women in two different districts, both of them had flat back carders, you know, like the ones I showed on the video, those vintage ones. Don't be afraid to buy vintage carders. They might have a little damage, but they still work. So they put them on those carders, and buddy, and you know, the other thing is, on carders, if you watch a carding video, they'll tell you to pretend it's a kitten and you're brushing nice and easy. Watch that hands video. They are not pretending it's a cat. They are scraping that through there. They are giving it a work through, and when they come up with a roll-on, it's nice, it's snug, and they don't have to card for 20 minutes to get there. They literally put those teeth together and pulled it through, which I've been doing even on my vintage carders, and actually I'm getting a lot better result. So they worked it in like this. Just pull it through there. If you didn't get enough, now yes, your hands are going to get greasy because you're messing with oil. But if you're having some dry skin issues, this is a good way to kind of get yourself going on carding and help your skin out at the same time. So they did all that. Now here's what I want you to see with the wool. Now see, look. There's the flyaway is cut down. And when you card this, you're going to find that turning it into a tube is so much easier because there's oil on it and it's going to cling to itself. So when you card this and you go to put that into a roll lag, you're going to find, because I find it all the time, I go to turn it, you know, to get it into a roll lag off my carders, and I'm fighting with it because it's going everywhere. All these hairs are going everywhere. Well, once I put oil back into the wool, I didn't have that problem. It literally just rolled right into a tube, and there it was. Now, when it comes to spinning, you're going to find your yarn is a little bit softer and more flexible. And now when you wash this afterwards, don't use any more Dawn. I've done several different types of wool in yarn form after I added the oil back, And all I did, I just gave it a rinse just to basically make sure that the color stayed. That process when you have colored wool and you turn it into a yarn. When you go to wash that as a yarn, you rinse it in cold water, turn it to hot, then go back to cold, and it felts your yarn into that cord so it won't unravel itself. But what I found was I didn't have to use Dawn in the second wash. All I did was rinse it. I did cold, then hot, then back to cold, and hung it out to dry because the excess color that didn't hold rinsed out with just ordinary water. So if you can get some fabulous soft yarn, this old method, it's worth doing. It's worth putting the extra step into the oil. So go take a watch on that video. Here again, it was done in 1978. Absolutely fabulous. You get to see a great wheel in motion. And you're going to watch these two women come up with yarn that was soft enough and sturdy enough and waterproof to make socks for their families and jackets and blankets and whatever else they needed. I mean, what better way to come up with waterproof yarn than from your kitchen cabinet? So give it a shot. Let us know how it worked for you. There is also another part in this video after all the spinning is done. It's kind of hard to get past that part. They send the young girls out when the tide is low and to get, I guess it's a fungus of some type that grows on the rocks on the shoreline. Well, this fungus produces a green color, a taupe color, a dark brown color, a gray color. It really depended on what portion of the shoreline that it came from determined the color. Now, here's the interesting part in the video. They show the lady sitting there in her house. She's got her fireplace. She has a cast iron pot on the fire, and that water is boiling like crazy because she is boiling down this fungus, and in between the layers of her fungus is her yarn that she has spun. Now, I didn't see any vinegar. So, my next test, I have a cast iron pot. So, I'm going to try and use some natural materials from my own garden, and I'm going to try and color some yarn in a cast iron pot without vinegar. Now, if they can do it, 1978, way back in is it Ireland this is done in? Could be. If they can do it without vinegar, so can we. So I will give that a whirl, and if it works, I will come back with another video. So give the oil a try. Let us know what you think. How did it work for you? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And let us know how you like that video called Hands. Remember, the thumbnail picture is a cute little older white-haired lady with curls. You can't miss her. But I'll try to get the link down below. So subscribe. We don't post every week, but when I have something that's really cool that I want to share with you, that's when we're going to come in and do some stuff. Unless you'd like to see other things, we can do those too. So have a great weekend. Hope that helps.